Bang. Hi, Jessica. My name's Steve Rennie. I'm a manager. I'm your neighbor on Maker Music.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Jessica Frech, and I'm a songwriter in Nashville.
So are you born and raised in Nashville?
I was born in Orlando and then moved to Nashville when I was 2, so I don't really know any better.
Well, I came upon you through our new relationship with Maker Music, and I'm fascinated by all that's going on in this new YouTube space where people like yourself are doing the unthinkable. They're putting up their own channels. They're becoming their own MTV, and thankfully, because MTV doesn't play videos anymore. I ask you, how do you see Jessica Frech's career? If you could paint the perfect picture of where you want to end up, what would it be?
I want to end up in a little cottage on Hawaii.
Yeah, we'll be neighbors again.
It's realistic. It's realistic. Well, right now, I mean, I'm just making music videos, selling albums, and, you know, hopefully that changes over into more commercial work, but I'm still always going to be doing YouTube videos. That's what got me to this point. I'm really liking the idea of stretching my acting career out to sitcoms, even commercials, things like that. But the basis of everything I do is really about my songwriting, and that's what I definitely feel like my strong point is. So I'll never stop songwriting. I'd love to continue songwriting, you know, maybe for some top artists, get something on the radio would be nice one day.
So you go and become a YouTube person, and then some guy at an advertising agency sees you, and you are in a national TV commercial. And so I kind of got to know you but didn't know who you were through this Hyundai commercial. How did that come about?
Yeah, Hyundai's marketing company, In Ocean, had emailed me. I was at school. I was actually just about to go into my songwriting class, and they had emailed me saying, you know, we'd like to talk to you about doing our holiday promotion. They attached like 3 pictures of where they like cropped out pictures of me from online next to a Hyundai. Or they would crop out pictures of a Hyundai sitting next to me in one of my pictures from online. I was like, this could be a bunch of crock, but I'm just going to check it out, you know? So the next week we were talking on the phone about treatments and songs, and I think it was 3 weeks later we were actually filming it.
So you get on national TV, and now you've got some exposure. You know, did that help you? Did it help you with the next step of what you're trying to do? Have you gotten more offers out of it? Did you try to leverage that for, to see if you could do that for other companies?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, my fan base at least doubled after that, which led me to see that it was the right time to do a Kickstarter campaign to where I could do a full album of real music, fully produced, things like that, and it was definitely the right time because within 3 days, my goal of $8,000 was met. And then by the end of the 30 days, they had raised $28,000 for me, which was just like mind-blowing. But I think without the Hyundai commercial and without YouTube, honestly, it wouldn't be anywhere near close to that.
How would you contrast the music in what I'll characterize as your own record, right, versus the stuff that might be a little more show busy? I hope that term doesn't offend you.
No. Well, I mean, I think if you watch my comedy stuff on YouTube and then you listen to my album, I think you'd kind of see a stream of consciousness there, like where you could see some of my songwriting techniques, maybe. I mean, I'm a pretty quirky writer. I like to be kind of tongue-in-cheek sometimes, and sometimes I'm really serious and vulnerable, and I think you could definitely tell between my album and then YouTube that I'd be the same songwriter.
All right, now, Jess.
Yes.
Do you have any questions for a grizzly old rock manager turned internet mentor?
Where did you see the break in the timeline where, you know, all the social media and YouTube and people like me kind of came around?
I can remember the very first time a friend of mine introduced me to what was at the earliest days of the internet. What it was, I can't even remember what you call them, but it'd be like a message board with pictures and so forth and so on. But it was the earliest days of the internet when the modems were going 14.4 kilobits a second, and then 28.8 and 33.6, right? and which, you know, you're too young to even remember that. But I went to work for Sony Music in the early to mid kind of 90s, and that was when the internet, you could start to see where it might go, because our product, you know, once you've made the music, when they put it into its form, it's zeros and ones. And, you know, and I worked at a big company, Sony Music, where they had a whole big machine that was into printing records and manufacturing stuff and sticking it in stores, and Tower Records was the kingpin in all these places. And it started to change right about then. And it's just been picking up momentum. I think for the social media stuff, I remember 5 or 6 years ago coming back from Chile with Incubus. And I had started to hear about Facebook, but in the early days of Facebook, it was supposed to be a thing for college kids. And frankly, I felt like an old, you know, like Aqualung, like some old lecherous dude, you know, looking in the window. You know, I felt so uncomfortable with it. But I started it because I knew that kids around the world were plugging into it. And this is right after Zuckerberg and company decided to give it a more commercial go. And I've watched it develop since then. And with Incubus, the guys I manage, you know, these are very personable guys just like yourself. And so for us, it was like, or for me, it was just obvious that here's a great tool to communicate. You can communicate around the world. And a guy like me has been spending my whole career trying to work my way around gatekeepers, whether it was MTV, whether it was Rolling Stone, whether it was your local radio station, TV appearances, and all that. And so that we now have this wonderful ability to speak to the whole world. And you are living proof that that is now flowered into something that frankly lots of smart people couldn't have imagined in the music business. And that's why the music business is so screwed up, because lots of people just couldn't accept the notion that the customers were going to start driving. So that's a long answer to when I saw it changing, but I see it every day now. And here we are talking on the internet, and be able to push a button and record it, and X amount of people, your fans, the folks that are in my little world, get to see something that we would have had to gone through umpteen million gatekeepers, and probably would have ended with you and I never having a chance to do it.
Absolutely correct.
You know?
And that's why I love, you know, being in the independent realm, because, you know, still stuff like that would be sticky if I was under a record label. I mean, that's fitting for some people, but for me at this time, it's been, you know, kind of freeing and allowing me to do what I want to do. So,
do you make money at this? Do you have a plan to make money for this? You know?
My income is basically through YouTube, just views and things like that. But about a few weeks ago, I signed with Paradigm, so that's another step forward to where, you know, I can see this going more commercial and see more of the Jessica coming out instead of the YouTube personality.
Now, you signed with Paradigm for live appearances, or for to help you get into other areas, TV and commercials and so forth?
Yeah, TV and film is kind of what is where I'd like to aim my target.
Now, are they based here in LA, Paradigm, or is that in Nashville?
It's both. I've been able to meet with both my reps out in LA when I was back out there a few weeks ago, and then have a rep here in Nashville.
Okay, what else can I help you with here, if I can help you at all?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to talk about Incubus a little bit, and kind of how, if social media has helped them.
We've done all kinds of, you know, events that kind of highlight the fact that they're personal, that they do well in that thing, and that allow fans to be part of the equation. Not to the extent that you do, where you are asking, you know, fans to give you ideas for songs and so forth. They write all their own stuff. They're very much the artist in that sense, and very self-sufficient. But we've done things like we rented out. In the record business, everybody has a release party, and they try to come up with kooky gags to get people's attention. You know, so rather than play clubs around America, we decided to set up. We went and rented an art gallery here on La Brea Drive here in L.A., and we rented the place out so that the guys could rehearse for a world tour that they were starting. But we also had in mind that we were going to set aside the last 7 days and invite people in for free, videotape and webcast the whole of it for 7 days, and invite people into their quote-unquote headquarters, right, and to see them at work. And it was a really, really special thing, which we're going to you know, the band's putting out a box set DVD that kind of captures all of that stuff that was going on. And it was really, when I look back on the 16 years I've been with, one of the highlight things about it, one of the things that I personally, I'm most proud of. That said, I will tell you that it was one of the most stressful freaking weeks I've ever had in my life. By night one, I think if singer Brandon Boyd would have had a gun and an alibi, I think he'd have shot me right on the spot for somehow getting him involved in it. But I will tell you, he was an accomplice all the way up until it was just like, dude, what happens if nobody shows up? What happens if 1,000 people show up? What happens if somebody comes in here and shoots one of us? I mean, it was like, whoo, shit, guys. I hadn't really thought about that. God, how about we just play, right? And but it worked out unbelievably. Fans around the world were a part of it that weren't physically in that room. That is a powerful, game-changing use of technology in my mind, and makes me rethink some of the things that we've done and the reasons we did them, because we now have some new tools that we've had the conversation about doing live gigs. To go out and get a tour across America, if you're an artist that's not selling records, that's not on the radio, that doesn't have some presence, is tough. It's very, very tough, right? And so when I was talking to one of the bands on our site the other day about, you know, whether if they had $5,000 to spend, should they spend it on touring, videos, or music? I said, well, obviously you need to have some music, so let's put that on the list for Christ's sake, right? Number two, I said, here's where I'm different. I keep telling everybody you got to have a live business, but to get a live business, I know how tough it is to build that. In the old days, for Incubus and Deftones and Radiohead and all the big bands of the day, they had tour support from labels to pay for that deficit in the early days, right? So I told these guys, I think it might be better for you to figure out a way to go rent a club or something, get 3 or 4 guys with cameras that all want to be filmmakers at USC Film School or something, let them come out and show their stuff, and do a big live concert video so you're already a big band, you know. So those are some things that where my thinking about it's evolved through watching what's going on in the social media space, you know. It's what it kind of inspired me to do this little Renman music and business site, because I've had so many people over the years, Incubus fans, friends of the family, that all want to, they think they want to be in the music business, and they're looking for advice on how to do that. So this has become a great way for me to do this, and I don't have to take on a new client and all the responsibility that comes with it.
You know, all this has been very helpful. It's been pretty awesome to just kind of see your take on things, and to see, you know, my biggest interest is to see when you saw that whole time gap happen. I'll
leave you with this thought. Here's some things that haven't changed in the new world of the music business. It starts with great songs. It starts with great performers, and if you don't get that part of the equation right at the outset, you can't. It was one of my old English clients said, Steve, you can't polish a turd into a diamond. And I would say it was appropriate then, a little bit off color. If I offend you, I apologize.
No, that was funny.
But decidedly on target. Jessica, thanks for your time. Any last parting shots for me? Can you write a song about Grizzly Old Manager?
I could do it, I think, yeah.
I'll be looking on your channel for I met a Grizzly Old Manager.
Thanks so much, Steve.
All right, you take care. Good luck to you out there.
Bye.
Bye-bye.